And we welcome you to Futbol Fridays here on Hornet Radio. I'm Ryan Osborne, joined by Joseph Pavlenko and Mark Pavlovich as we get set for tonight's matchup between Taft and Fullerton. As you see on your screen, it is quite the warm afternoon at Hal Scherbeck Field, a full capacity possibility of 4,400. And though it says 85, 87 degrees as we both look at our phones, Joe, it has been quite the warm afternoon, and it just hasn't let up until the last 5 minutes or so.
No, it hasn't. We really haven't felt any kind of cooling until the last, I'm going to say 10 minutes, but I've been up in the press boxes. You guys have been setting up different cameras on the field, so I think it's been a little cooler up here for me than it was for you guys down there on the field.
It was just a little bit. But as we get set for this matchup, let's get to our starting lineups before anything happens. We will start with Taft College, as Taft is coming into this one with a 1-1 record. You see their starting lineup there. They have quite the afternoon full of using their physicality and using their height to their advantage. When you look at Taft's roster, the number one thing you will notice about this roster is the fact that they use their height to their advantage. They are able to go out and get the ball. They are able to go out, get headers on, and they can use their positioning to their, well, I don't want to say advantage again, but that is what they specialize in. When you look over at Fullerton College's starting lineup, the starting 11 for this Fullerton College team trying to get back into the win column. They are currently 3-2. They lost to Norco on a 3-1 result this last week. And as we said, they're trying to get back into the win column. This is a Fullerton College team that is trying to find out where their identity lies on the offensive side of the game. The last time we were here for Futbol Fridays, though it was on a Tuesday, Futbol Fridays watched Evan Courtney open up the scoring for Fullerton College at home, and Fullerton would be able to take that home to a victory. So, as we get set for this one, it is Taft and Fullerton in just a couple of moments. Once again, Ryan Osborne, Joseph Pavlenko, Mark Pavlovich live on the call here as we get set for the first Friday edition of Futbol Fridays here on Hornet Radio. Now, as both teams get set for this one, Joe, like you and I were talking about it, and we've mentioned it already here on the broadcast. We've talked about it at length, ad nauseum before this broadcast. But what everyone's talking about in the stands, the coaching staffs from both sides, is that the heat is quite bad, or it was quite bad here today. It was the hottest that Fullerton has been in the last 2 years. So it's quite an impressive heat when you're outside. Joe, you noticed it when we were out onto the field. It seemed like it was overwhelming at times. And yes, it has changed here, but there's still that stickiness, that humidity that these athletes will have to fight through.
Yeah, I would call it relentless, oppressive, terrible, uncomfortable. You're killing me.
Well, I was taking a look over at our other broadcast partner, Mr. Mark Pavlovich, wanting to bring him into this. Mark, Joe was just talking about it. The heat was relentless. It just wouldn't let up. Now, in the last 10 minutes or so, it's starting to cool down, get to a more comfortable level. But, Mark, you were out on the field. You talked to the Taft coaching staff. This isn't necessarily a heat they're not used to.
No, they don't find this as oppressive as we do. Of course, I find it a little more oppressive than you guys. You're in air conditioning. I'm outside. I know. To be real truthful, guys, I think it's pleasant now to play out here. I think both you and Joe could play in a game right now, Ryan, if you guys were out here. I think the Fullerton guys understand this weather.
Sorry.
What, Joe say he wouldn't play tonight?
No. I was reaching over at our assistant producer and kind of micromanaging a little bit, so I was apologizing.
Oh, but I don't think it's bad. I really don't. I know it was ugly earlier, but I think it's perfect for soccer right now.
So you take a look at both of these two teams. Taft will be in the all gold/yellow. It's more leaning towards gold. Goalkeeper will be in teal with numerals in gold. On the other side for Fullerton College, it will be the home navy blue kits that Hornet fans are used to over the last few years from this squad. They will have their white numerals with no outline going from left to right. So as we get started with things, once again, it is Taft right to left, Fullerton College left to right, as they will begin with Josh Valdivia up on the ball. On his left will be Emilio Gonzalez, with Jonathan Gonzalez joining him as well. Kickoff is there, and we are underway. Fullerton College and Taft live from Hal Scherbeck Field on the campus of Fullerton College. Ball goes up into the air. Andrew Ariola is able to get to it for just a moment, finally scoots away from him, and Taft will regain possession. With the ball, scoots it back. He's going to find someone in Christopher Juarez. Juarez looking for Diego Nunez, has him for a moment. He'll scoot it back, and Taft, looking for possession, is going to get this one off the leg of Pedro Delgado, and it will go out of play on the far touchline. Fullerton, as we mentioned, 3-2 entering this one. Lost to Norco in their last matchup. That was at the Norco Sports Complex. If you've ever been out there, kind of a newer development out in Norco, right along the 15, just past 6th Street, just as you're approaching the Eastvale area. This one gets dumped out of play by Yole, and it will go out for a Taft throw-in. John Patrician looking on. Sees this one tossed into the air. He's got a chance to get up to it with Abraham Diaz-Dominguez. Diaz-Dominguez sees that one up. It goes out, and it will be a Fullerton opportunity to throw the ball in now. Hornets with it. Trying to dance back for just a moment is Cesar Marquez. Marquez loses it. Possession goes now to Emilio Gonzalez. Gonzalez, opportunity to find Juarez. He does so successfully. Right-hand side, it goes over to Anthony Malta. Malta looking for a teammate. Gets deflected off of 2, and it will be the first corner kick of this afternoon, and it will go to the Taft Cougars.
It's interesting. You talk about corner kicks. You, Ryan, and I had an opportunity to talk with Greg about corner kicks. One of the funny things about this, there are really no set plays because he said the people that take a shot from the corner are not at that level that they are consistent enough to put the ball in the same spot every time they bring it in. So we'll see if that's true on this play from Taft.
Ball into the air, high floater. There's a chance. It's a save. That's going to be made there by Steven Martinez. Martinez alive with it, and that header was offered by Abraham Diaz-Dominguez. So the first shot of this one goes to Taft, and they are early pressing here, Mark.
Yeah, the thing that's interesting about the Taft coach, we talked about Taft. I asked him, difference between Northern and Southern California soccer? He said, not really. Who plays more physical soccer? If you talk to the coaches from the South, they're going to say it's them. And that was his answer. I didn't need anything else. And Taft really does not look at themselves as being a Northern California team. They just figure that's how the conference does it. Like he said to me, we're Central California. We're not Northern California.
Diaz-Dominguez wanting to throw this one in. He takes a look, finds a teammate. Left-hand side, it goes to Gonzalez. Gonzalez controls for a moment, scooted out of bounds. Finally, off the right foot of Jared Rodriguez. And it will be another toss-in for the Taft Cougars. Taft in the all-gold from right to left, as we mentioned before. Fullerton in navy blue, left to right. Little three-hopper that goes back to Diaz-Dominguez. He's going to try and find someone. Patrician trying to get to it as well. And finally, it's scooted away over towards Fullerton College. Fullerton on the attack with Giovanni Sanchez trying to go down the middle, and it just gets out of the outstretched reach of Pedro Delgado. So Fullerton goes on the attack. They get an opportunity, and it goes over towards the top of the box. Will be taken over by Rommel Tarin. So Rommel Tarin, excuse me. Backspun floater, left-hand side. He's trying to find someone up top. That goes to Jonathan Gonzalez. Gonzalez will see it go offsides. And finally, Fullerton will get their own free kick. Ariola looking for a teammate. High back spinner. Back towards the front. It goes to the Cougars. The Cougars with Gonzalez. Gonzalez finds a teammate in Emilio. Emilio looking for Juarez. He finds Patrician. Now Diaz-Dominguez. Diaz-Dominguez, little side spinner that goes off the top of the toe of Emilio Gonzalez. And having to take it over will be Steven Martinez. So Martinez, the goalkeeper, 6'2", 210 out of Ontario. Comes here from Chaffee. And Mark, he has had to be active in the early going. He's got one save and 3 different possessions he's had to take over.
Yeah, it's one thing and one position we didn't talk to Greg about when we were with him, about his goalkeepers. They were fantastic last year. If they can play as well as they did last year, with the defense he's got, Fullerton's going to be a very tough team to score on.
Patrician. Little check down right at midfield. Gonzalez, this time Emilio. We'll see that one deflected all the way back to Martinez. And Mark, like you were talking about, you and I got a chance to talk to Coach Greg Aviles, the head coach of the Fullerton College Hornets, during the midweek. And one thing that he did mention about this matchup, specifically when it comes to Fullerton trying to brave through the, we'll say, elements, as Fullerton goes on the attack, a chance for Marquez, tries to find Sanchez on the right-hand side, doesn't end up getting over to him. Retaken over by the Hornets, an opportunity to scoot forward with Kevin Castro. Castro down the middle, a chance for a teammate, can't get it to him. Sherman on it. Sherman now to Marquez. Marquez tried to swing it back over to his right, finds the head of Sherman. Fullerton takes over, little tackle there. Fullerton loses possession for a second, it goes out. And the Hornets, I believe, will still maintain possession. But going back to our conversation with Greg, Mark, he said one thing that you do have to pay attention for is not just the fitness of the athletes, but it's the tempo. How are they going to be able to control their own tempo, their own heart rates, their own ability to be able to spread out their energy throughout the entirety of this matchup?
Yeah, that's true. And the other thing he seems to be searching for, Ryan, is we asked him about offensive attack last year and offensive attack this year. He expects to see more players be involved in the offensive attack this year. It's when that's going to happen, well, that's something we'll all see with you doing Futbol Fridays.
Here's Patrician. Patrician over to his left. He's got a teammate in Emilio Gonzalez. Gonzalez now for Juarez, and it goes back to Fullerton College. Down the middle of the park, they're looking for Cesar Marquez, but they can't connect with him. They've gone his way 4 times and connected once. Off the foot of Guevara, Hector Guevara, looking for Ariola on the far side of the pitch. Now Fullerton to the touchline with Sherman. Sherman trying to dance his way, keep it in. Does for a moment, ends up getting double teamed. 2 Cougars are there to dispossess, and it is Taft who comes away with it. Just into this one, a little under 7.5 gone in the first 45 of play between Fullerton College and Taft. 2 teams here in Southern California who are looking to get themselves a nice opportunity for an RPI win, Mark. And I know how much you love RPI.
Oh yeah, makes me just stand up and say, hoorah.
But Mark, when you do look at the RPI and how it affects things, for those who are unfamiliar with RPIs, this one is over towards Sherman. He leaps for it. Lots of collision space there, and it will be a foul against Sherman as he goes into the contact with Ramel Tarin. But for those unfamiliar with RPI, Mark, how does it affect someone's season to have a higher RPI?
Well, I mean, if you and I are, let's say, have the same amount of wins, we end up the same in our conferences, but I've supposedly played against more competitive teams, teams that have played tougher schedules, either if they win or lose because of where somebody's ranked. It gives me an opportunity, and it's a mathematical game, an opportunity to climb higher up the ladder to qualify for the playoffs. That is why they have made it where in the old days, if you knew you were going to get slaughtered by somebody, you'd forfeit. No longer can you forfeit in soccer unless it is true sickness, so that your RPI will not be degraded. At least soccer makes you play all your games, not necessarily true with other sports. And I don't like it still, Ryan. I really don't like it.
No, but that's the thing, Mark. When you look at how things have changed in the last specifically 2 years that we have been covering Futbol Fridays, you and I have talked to not just this coaching staff. You've talked to Cypress. You've talked to Saddleback as well. The changes that they've made recently, like you said, you don't have the opportunity to forfeit a matchup just to keep your RPI high. It allows for things that a lot of people had issues with the RPI before to kind of fix themselves, so that way there's no opportunity for manipulation of the system.
Yeah, well, in the old days, too, realize there used to be coaches that would vote on close scheduling. Oh, I think Ryan's team's better than Joe's team. I really don't like Joe anyway, so I'm not going to vote for him. So his team's not going to make the playoffs, even though his team is better than everybody else's. Joe's got the better team. They just don't let Joe's teams play because we don't get along with each other. Those days, hopefully, are gone in the world of soccer when it comes to actual playoffs.
That's rude. Am I getting called out because me and technical director Corey Nayland were working on trying to fix a camera?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I just figured you didn't want to talk tonight. I was trying to figure out what was wrong.
Nah, Corey had to run down to camera 3 and help us out, get a picture on there. So thank you, technical director Mr. Nayland, for that tonight.
Ball goes out.
Did
It
you
will be
check
a goal
his
kick.
driver's license and see if that was really Corey Nayland? Could
Well.
have been C. Nayland.
Well, we'll make sure on the drive tomorrow.
Okay. You know, sort of like C. Jane Run, C. Corey Nayland. You know, something like that.
Run.
Well, that's never going to happen.
Ball
Oh.
goes out. Goal kick to Taft.
Unless there's a free lunch.
So compared to last week, I see a little shoving, little pushing, some physicality on the field. We know what happened last week. We know on our special Tuesday edition of Futbol Friday, the referee had to go into his pocket a couple times. It kind of came out of nowhere. Seen a little bit of physicality about 10, 11 minutes into play so far. Do we think things could escalate, or are we jumping the gun talking about physicality? Because it seemed to come out of nowhere last week.
I think the difference in this one, as this one goes over towards Sherman, he's trying to keep possession, swinging it over towards the middle, an opportunity inside the box, and it finally gets cleared away. I think the difference here, Joe, is that what you saw last week is that, yeah, there wasn't as much physicality in that first few minutes of the matchup last week on Tuesday. What you did see is guys talking to each other from opposing sides after plays were over. Here's an excellent chance for the Taft Cougars. Right-hand side, Areola is going to win this foot race. He wants to check it down to Martinez. That angle is taken away from him by Jonathan Gonzalez. And Gonzalez with excellent work on that far side of the pitch to force that ball to go out of bounds. And it's a very deep throw in for Taft. So they'll continue to play on. But going back to your statement, Joe, I think what you saw is a lot of guys kind of chirping back and forth in the early going. The physicality may not have been there, but the chirping was. So both teams start talking to each other. It escalates things there, or escalates from there. You look at this physicality, the reason why it's different is because, yes, they are bumping into each other. Yes, they are being heavily physical to maintain those checks, to maintain that body positioning, find those box outs when you're trying to go up for the ball. But you're not seeing guys turn around and look at each other and find what number did that to them. You're seeing them continue to play on. They're realizing it's two different play styles from what they discovered last week. Here's a side swiper that goes over towards the left. It's going to poke its way down just about 20 minutes in. And a foul is going to come up here as it looks like it's going to go against Thomas Martinez, who just checked in a few moments ago. Actually, excuse me, make that Diego Nunez. And a free kick coming Fullerton's way.
Joe, I got to ask you, though, Joe, does it not look like Taft is much more aggressive than the Rough Riders were last week at the beginning of the game?
Yeah, they've had a couple breakaways. That's why I was asking about that chippiness. I was seeing the physicality, especially going up for the headers and like a 50-50 ball in the air, anything like that. It seemed like Taft was applying not just pressure on the field, but some physical pressure in those sorts of challenges for the ball to try to get balls in their possession and then make their way down the field. So yes, I think.
Okay, I just, you know, because, no, I mean, I'm out here by myself, you know, and it's like I'm watching, and I want to turn around and say, you know, the difference in this game right now is last week the Fullerton defenders were going across midfield, getting down to the 40, 30-yard line where it's marked on the field on the attack. Today you're watching the defenders come across midfield but stop. So it's not that, hey, we're going all out at the beginning, and I think a lot has to do with the way that Taft is being more of an aggressor than the Rough Riders were, the team from Arizona last week.
I think if you look at Fullerton historically, they're a team that you need to bring a level of aggressiveness to play. You can't just sit back and wait for a counterattack. You can wait for them to mess up. Everybody makes mistakes. But they're not a team that you should wait to get tired, wait for them to make a mistake, because while you're waiting, they're going to be out there attacking, shoving the ball down, your third of the field and trying to get into the back of the net.
Cesar Marquez trying to bring that one towards the middle. And while you guys were mentioning that, Fullerton College with a couple of attacks there, and so far for the Hornets, that's the one thing that we have seen is, like you were talking about, Joe, that right side of the pitch has been their specialty in the attacking third. They are extremely aggressive going down this right side, and if you notice, you had Castro on this right. He starts off the swing of the offense, and then everything takes shape on that far side when they go in towards the box. So it all begins on the right third, and then it switches from there. We're going to have a couple of subs as Nathan Giles will come in. Taking a seat will be Jared Rodriguez, and for Fullerton College, they will also sub out Pedro Delgado. So Delgado will take a seat, and in for him will be Juan Luis Quintana.
Ryan, let me ask you a question because you called all the games last year. You got to see Misa play. You know how prolific he was as an offensive player. Is it a little more exciting this year to not know where it's coming from and looking for that next offensive player as an announcer?
I won't say more exciting. I think it's equal amounts of exciting. But, Mark, what you do like to see is the fact that you cannot anticipate where the attack is coming from. So there's a difference in the play style. So I won't say that's more exciting because, Mark, looking at things last year, you would see Misa go for a 50-yard run that would culminate in a goal. This year for Fullerton College, it's about finding someone that you can go to and lead the offense through by committee. So it's not necessarily just, kicking it, clearing the ball, and having one person go and catch up to it as it was last year, as opposed to this year what you're seeing, and you saw it in that first matchup because you pointed it out. Fullerton had 6 different players who were in on the ball trying to make a play that ended up culminating in pressure and a goal. So it's 2 different levels of exciting, 2 different styles of play. Ball goes out far side, deflected off the Hornets. 2 corner kicks so far for the Taft Cougars as they continue to apply pressure. Swing this one into the box, just goes past 2. And it will go off the awaiting head of Isaac Gomez, who just checked in a few moments ago. And it will be a 3rd corner kick. They're double checking with that far side official to see whether or not it will maintain as a corner. It will not, as Taft was offsides. So Fullerton will kick this one away. Steven Martinez goes to his right, and Fullerton will play it out of the back for the moment being. For the Fullerton Hornets, Mark, it is imperative, if you will, for them to really get their feet under them and find that attack that you're talking about and that Joe's been talking about recently, as Juan Luis Quintana will start things off with Nathan Giles. Giles stepping up to it, takes a shot that gets blocked. Here's Marquez sending it wide.
What a great drive. What a great way to stay on your feet running through traffic like that. And I was about to say Fullerton needs to watch out because Taft was really quick to come to any Fullerton player who got received a pass on that journey upfield. And Taft was doing their best to get away. So it was a lot of touch and goes by Fullerton till they had that run, tried to put it into the back of the net.
And Cesar Marquez just missing it by about 3 to 4 feet on that right side. Sherman's going to check out, and in for him will be Brandon Acevedo. Also taking a seat will be Giovanni Sanchez as the goal kick comes up and the Cougars look to play it. Ariola stopping things, moving forward, now trying to find himself an opportunity. Taft swings back. They'll send it off the right foot of Diaz Dominguez. Now along with Emilio Gonzalez. Gonzalez off of 2, deflects off of Diego Nunez. Diaz Dominguez once more. Back to Emilio. Emilio looking forward, trying to find a run on this left side, and it will be taken over and dove upon by Steven Martinez.
So, Ryan, we're halfway through the 19th minute right now. Fullerton, we've mentioned, younger team this year, younger legs, younger minds out on the field. Taft with this aggressive play style. Do you think Fullerton has to worry about making sure they have anything in the gas tank for the second half, trying to match Taft's pace, or is this pretty on par with the Fullerton College pace of play, do you think?
I think so far this is pretty much what we saw in that first matchup. It's also what I got to take a peek at when they ended up facing Norco as well. This is a Fullerton team that likes to play fast. They like to get it up the park as quickly as possible. And Mark, you and I had a conversation with some of the backline for Fullerton earlier today as they were going through their walkthroughs. One thing that they all noted is that they enjoy being up on the rush and creating on offense, even though they are center backs or left wings.
Well, if you two were both as fortunate as I am, and I get to because of the different games I do, I have now talked to 5 different coaches about Fullerton. What does Fullerton love to do? They like to run, run, run. They want to be the aggressor. That is their style, is how the OEC looks at this team. They're fast. They want to run you into the ground. And once again, that's what we're seeing this year.
Right side, Fullerton trying to keep it in. Here's Marquez working against 2, tries to swing it towards the middle, does. And that is cleared away, and a throw-in coming up for Fullerton College. So a chance for the Hornets as they will bring on Brandon Acevedo. So Acevedo with it on this right side, giving everyone a chance to reset. He'll bring it up to Giles. Talk to Giles about this very thing, the fact that he is able to long toss it better than anyone on this team. Sends it all the way down the middle, and it will find its way through 2. Finally, the Hornets get it back, and Giles has to course correct for a moment. Little floater. He's trying to find someone back post, and it goes just too far for the awaiting Acevedo.
Gentlemen, there's a slight little breeze that has now started up out here. It's very pleasant right now. It's an ocean breeze coming off my back. So for the teams going right to left, it is definitely a crosswind, left to right, same thing. But depending which way you're going, it can be helpful or a hindrance.
Down the left side, here's Taft. Sun setting in Fullerton, offsides, go the Cougars. You're on Futbol Fridays. This is the first Friday edition. We will have every home matchup for the Fullerton College Hornets that comes up on a Friday night or a Friday afternoon here on Futbol Fridays. And Joe, this has been quite a ride so far to cover this Fullerton College football team in the last year and a half.
Yeah, it has. Last year, knocking on the door of, what was it, the quarterfinals?
I believe you are correct. They ended up playing Santa Barbara.
And then this year, the, I don't want to say the quiet goal, the goal they're not talking about, but certainly the goalpost us in the broadcast booth are talking about and hoping that they make it to is the March to 100.
And currently this team is at 94 wins. And the March to 100, as we mentioned in last week's broadcast, is that this coaching staff took over Greg Aviles, Kenny Castellanos, 2016. It starts with the Greg Aviles hire in 2016. That's when things changed for Fullerton College. And overall, as a program, Fullerton kind of goes into a different direction. They start to pick up a lot of momentum as this one is swung over by Marquez, top of the box. Here's a chance for Yole. Opportunity for Arioli. Takes a shot, goes off the side of the net. They're going to say that this is going to be a corner kick as well. And it goes off of Taft. Taft doesn't like it. They say that they thought it was just a direct kick that goes off the side of the frame. And Fullerton College will see them make a change in decision as well. Now Taft will play up quickly. They've got Emilio Gonzalez trying to streak down the middle. Losing the ball for just a moment is Patrician. Patrician looking for someone. Middle of the park, there's a little contact there, and finally Acevedo is going to have to go and find it in front of his bench, and it will be a throw in Fullerton.
All I can tell you is if they don't get to that 100, you guys come out here and do Futbol Fridays and talk to the head coach. They're 6 games away. And if they don't win 6 more games, shame on you two.
And anyone who's watching online, seeing both of these two teams kind of go to their own benches. The clock at the 20-minute mark, just a little over halfway through once a break in the action takes place. they go to a hydration break in these types of situations. So the athletic training staff talks with the officials beforehand, lets them know that there has to be a hydration break. They get a chance to rest things for just a moment. The time that they end up, quote unquote, losing in this case in the flow of play will be added on to the extra time or additional time that is added at the end of the first and second half. So this is a hydration break that you are watching. Doesn't mean that we're going on break, but this is exactly what you are seeing. So in case you're wondering, hey, how come everyone's going to their sideline? It almost looks like a timeout in basketball. Well, the reason why is because, let me put it very simply, it's hot.
Yeah, definitely. If you watched the Olympics and paid attention to any of the football matches this year in Paris at the Olympics, almost every game had at least one hydration break a half. And that was because in Paris it was so warm, it was a point of concern. And so they had those hydration breaks, and just like they were worried about those athletes there, here at Fullerton College, our athletic trainers are worried about the student athletes on the field, making sure they stay hydrated and safe. It's the same reason that this game got pushed from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock today, Ryan.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that the athletic training staff here, Lorena, excellent, Sandra as well, along with Juan, all three of them making sure that these student athletes have the opportunity to go out and compete at the best of their ability. And not only just the student athletes, you look over at the sideline, Lorena's making sure that the officials are okay, that the coaching staffs for both sides are okay. They want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to be at peak fitness when they are out here waiting to go through a competition as well. So both sides getting a chance to reset here. It will be a throw into Fullerton College. That hydration break goes for about 2 minutes, and we get set to get things back underway. So again, those 2 minutes that we end up, quote, losing in the flow of play end up getting tacked on to additional time.
It's like a tax refund. You just get it back at the end of the year.
So what you're telling me, Joe, is I'm going to owe people money.
You're going to owe us minutes on the field is what I'm talking about,
Thank
Mark.
you. Thank you. I'm looking forward to that.
Pizza, minutes, all the same thing. Near side of the pitch, it goes out, and it will be a throw-in for Acevedo. Acevedo looking for his options. Nathan Giles not going to step up to this one. He ends up dropping it down to Juan Luis Quintana. Quintana to his right foot down the middle of the park. He can't get that one to a teammate. Here's Cesar Marquez. He already has one shot on, and this one just goes wide. Fullerton trying to move up. They turn it over. Now Gonzalez. Gonzalez looking for Juarez along with Isaac Gomez. And Taft this time will give it away. So possession back to the Hornets. The back line of this Fullerton College team and shape always very active. You see them moving around, joining the rush, also trying to get that outlet going. They are extremely active in moving up the park and starting things off offensively. They will control things as much as possible. You will see that back line be the 4 guys who set the pace for this Hornet squad.
Despite the best efforts from Taft, especially on that little game of pass around, Taft almost every pass rushing the receiver. Again, it was pretty much a touch and send.
Yeah, for Fullerton, that's one thing that they do have to be wary of. The top 3, or the attacking trio for Taft, has been very active in terms of high pressure. So you're looking at a high press, Mark, and for those who are watching online thinking a high press, isn't it just as simple as you pressure the one guy with the ball and make sure that he doesn't allow a pass to get away? No, it's a lot more intricate than that.
Yeah, I mean, section your field. Think of geometry. I know people go, oh, we're back to math.
We're talking about triangles.
I was promised
Yeah,
there would
we
be
really
no math,
are.
by the way.
Joe's absolutely right, though, when he talks about triangles. I mean, Greg brought that up to us. Taft will do the same thing. You're going to break this whole field down. And, you know, when you talk about triangle defense in basketball, it's true for many of these soccer coaches.
Yeah, no, it's I feel like it's seeped into popular culture with different forms of media, and I feel like they overemphasize the importance, talking about like the essential shape of soccer and it being a triangle, but it's not untrue. Whoever has the ball, they normally have somebody to their left, somebody to their right, or if your team's playing correctly, they should have somebody to their left and somebody to their right, so that we have avenues to pass. You have lanes to send the ball downfield.
And you have somebody on top of them, Joe, or what you would say maybe in front of them, but that's called being on top of somebody, marking them, and there's your triangle. And it's really, if somebody runs it right, you can watch it during the game, and it becomes all of a sudden this game of chess. You know, where you can take so many different games and throw them into soccer.
So Fullerton, what was this end up being, Ryan? An indirect kick?
Yeah, an indirect, or it will be a free kick, a set piece for the Hornets. This is Cesar Marquez, a chance that goes off the top of the bar. They're going to say it is a goal kick coming up in favor of Taft. That goes off of two different guys. It looked like it finally went off the right foot of Evan Yole and ends up going over top of the frame. Now, Fullerton was arguing that that was a save, and they thought that it was deflected off of the hand of the goalkeeper in Tareen. And Tareen says that one goes over top, ends up hitting the football crossbar, not the football crossbar, and it goes out.
Yeah, I thought it actually hit the top bar for where my view is.
So Fullerton on their second indirect of the game. They get their first, or make it their second shot of this one. And so far, no saves credited to Tareen.
Looks like we are at about the 31st minute of play, Ryan.
Left-hand side, it goes to Yole, and you mentioned that, Joe. Quick pace to this one. Check down. Finds two different guys. The Hornets trying to take possession. They can't with Quintana. Quintana sees that one get away from him, and finally, Patrician will get up to it. Right-hand side, he looks for Juarez. Juarez for Gomez. Gomez trying to take off. He's trying to surprise Arreola. Arreola chasing it all the way down to the end line, and it will be a goal kick coming up in favor of Fullerton College. Substitution far side of the park. Once we get word on what that is, we will give it to you. As the Taft Cougars had quite the ride down here, Mark. If you have not been to Taft, Mark, what can you expect from that area? Where is Taft?
Well, it is Central California. It's a very rural area, very middle class. Basically, a lot of people who work in agriculture are up in that area. So a very middle class community that works very hard for what they earn, and a bunch of young men and young women in the area that are looking for futures, and that's why you have educators at Taft Community College that are doing their best to be mentor to these individuals. If you drove through Taft, you probably wouldn't remember it. And I don't mean that. It's just a quiet little town, that it's not a city. It is truly a town.
And that's the thing, Mark, is that even though it is a smaller area, a more quiet area, they have a legacy of being fantastic in the sport of soccer.
Yeah.
They have a state championship under their belt, a state finals appearance as well. They have been to the state semifinals and quarterfinals many times under this current coaching staff of Angelo Cutrona. And you look at this Taft College, not only roster this year, but pedigree overall. Mark, a quiet town, like you mentioned, is a hub for the sport that they are playing.
Well, Ryan, we looked at total population for the college, and it was what?
It was 5,000 students.
Yeah. I mean, so you look at what they've accomplished, and the coach takes, you know what I love about the coach? He will tell you, there was not a program till I got there. And I like the fact that, that's not being braggadocious. That's reality. And I appreciate somebody being truthful about what they've done and being proud about their accomplishments.
10:55 showing on the clock. So, Joe, if my math is correct, we're either in the 34th minute or approaching the 34th minute.
Yes, sir.
Look at that. See? Accomplishments here on the broadcast.
Wow, math.
We had geometry earlier. Now we have addition and subtraction here. We're putting in the work as Patrician gets up to it. Fullerton takes over. Turning around with it after entering is Vargas. Vargas still with it, trying to turn over to his right. Nearly gets fouled. Now to Marquez. Marquez gets it. A shot to the right. It goes in. Cesar Marquez with the bullet to the right corner, and it goes off the goalkeeper's hands, and it will hit the post and go in. A little knuckler, but Marquis got every single piece of that ball.
Did you guys just get my picture? It looked like an earthquake out here. I don't know if it looked like it in there because the crowd was that excited about that shot. It was a great angle, a very clean shot too when he drove it in there. And Joe, this is the thing. You talk about a team that's got attackness. That was just shown right there.
Yeah, well, and it's why I talk about it so much. Maybe it's an odd angle, maybe it's your off foot. You have to take that shot, and for Ryan, that's somewhere in the 35th minute, 34th minute, I believe. You have to take that shot. You got to knock on the door to let them know that you're dangerous, that you can take those shots, and to keep them on your toes. Because if you don't keep them on their toes with those kinds of shots, then you're not a threat, and they'll treat you that way in your attacking third of the field.
No, and you're exactly right, Joe, because what ends up happening in that case is that if they can't respect your shot from the outside of the box, because that was outside the frame, is you will see them start to drop back and start to crowd inside that 18-yard marker, and they can wait until you bunch up and they have more numbers when you're trying to cross it inside. With those shots and being able to put something like that away, it makes them respect you taking that shot, and it also brings out their back line a little bit more and gives you that spacing.
Yeah, you stretch out the defense. You don't let them bunch up, like you said, in smaller quarters. And it looks like Fullerton is feeling that one, and they want to try to knock on the door again. That looked like a high foot almost, though.
Just a little bit, but if you get all of the ball, you don't end up getting your opponent. It doesn't end up going the other way, as another free kick for Fullerton College will come up. Set piece from, oh, we'll say, what? We'll call it the 46-yard line if you're watching online. Yes, this is the Hal Scherbeck Field that is shared not only with Fullerton College men's football, but it is also shared with Fullerton College football. So gridiron football and football are both here on Hal Scherbeck Field. And for the Fullerton College men's soccer squad, they continue to use this as their new home for not only home matches, but also practices as well. Brand new field here at Fullerton College. Hal Scherbeck Field completely redesigned and redone in the last, we'll call it about 18 months or so.
There you have Taft trying to really put on that pressure on that kind of breakaway, or that, I don't even want to say breakaway, that lob that found its way into Fullerton's feet, and they tried to just put some high pressure on there, take advantage of a mistake, and hopefully find the back of the net.
And that's one thing that really worked for them earlier, as this one gets away. And it will be a corner kick in favor of Fullerton on this right side. But that's one thing that was a credit to the front attacking trio for Taft earlier in this one, is they were forcing Fullerton College defenders to have to think about their decisions. They weren't able to just react, get the outlet pass going, get things moving up the field as quickly as they would like, because Taft was having that opportunity. Here's Marquez, floater, left side. He's looking for someone. Here's a chance. Yole into the air. It's going to pop up, finally punched away, and it is given back to Marquez, who says, let me take another, and he will fly it out wide, and it's a goal kick coming up.
Well, what I've seen this year, probably many teams, is playing what I call long ball offense. I'm going to kick it halfway down the field. Hopefully somebody lands underneath it, and I'm outnumbering the defense. It leads you to watch a lot of 1-0 games, and that's what I've seen so far on the men's and women's side this year in Southern California soccer. A little surprised that that's what we're seeing from Taft right now.
Well,
But again, there's two halves. It could change when we come out here for the second 45.
Well, what I'm noticing is Jonathan Gonzalez, number 11 for Taft. He is playing box-to-box soccer. He drops back, and then he's normally the first player for Taft that is up on the attacking side of things. Looks like here he is right now. I think that's him on the trying to make that a breakaway.
And he's on this left side, going towards the touchline, finally poked away from two. Gets over towards Jesus Medrano. Medrano looking back. He's got Emilio Gonzalez. Emilio over to Diaz Dominguez. Another opportunity presented to Valadez. Valadez sees this one scooted away. Little contact there between Fullerton College, specifically Josias Palacios, And Palacios having a conversation as the head official is going to talk to the line judge, and they're going to get a little clarification on what just happened. Is it going to be a yellow going to Fullerton's way? No, just a little conversation between the official and saying, hey, no more. Let's keep this rolling through, and no behind the back contact.
Have you ever seen a goalkeeper come out that far to talk to a linesman?
No, it looked
No.
like Taft
No.
really wanted some sort of call on that play. And you had the Fullerton player just going, what did I do wrong?
Diaz Dominguez drops it in. Emilio Gonzalez turns it over, but Fullerton gives it right back. But now Vargas. Vargas, quick down the middle. He's going to find two. There's a foul going against Taft, and it will be a set piece coming up for Fullerton. And they have a very good chance to get back on the board here late in the first half. And Joe, you get that visceral reaction because Fullerton had the foul not taken place, gets a very quick opportunity for an odd-numbered attack. If you're looking at it from the defender's perspective, that's a great foul to take.
That's a great foul to take. That's some all right form. I think Brian Crooks would maybe have some coaching to do about tackling. Maybe he needs some more guys on the defensive line like that. That did not seem like it belonged in this sort of a soccer match. Again, I know you say it's a great foul to make because you have to make that, because you need to stop that breakaway. But oof, what an impact.
Camilo Ariano was the one who got there and got fouled. That one goes directly in on frame, so it goes as a shot there for Fullerton College. That's 4. Inside the box, a chance just goes wide. Looked like it touched Giles for just a moment, goes off the side of his head. That is the 5th shot of the game for Fullerton, and it is the 4th off frame.
Taft really dodges a bullet, guys, because as a goalkeeper, if you're going to be in the correct position where he was, you must maintain controlling that ball. Put it back on the ground, it's a live ball, and you're putting yourself and your teammates in a very precarious situation.
Diaz Dominguez will bring it down. Tries to give and go. It ends up going off the foot of Jacob Ponce. Ponce looking for a teammate. That one goes past 2. It will go to Emilio Gonzalez, and he will see that go off of him and out.
Just 2.5 minutes, we'll say, of play, plus some stoppage or extra time.
Yeah, plus additional, because remember, we do have to recover for that hydration break. And it will be dropped back down towards Ariano.
And Fullerton, not so much taking their foot off the gas and parking the bus, like some would say. With this 2 minutes and change left in the half, they are putting their foot to the floor and trying to find the back of the net one more time and put a great little exclamation point on the scoreboard before halftime.
Well, I'll flip it over to Mark on that statement, Joe, is that what you do find in Southern California is that if you are up 2, it's a much more commanding opportunity going into halftime, because not just the Orange Empire Conference, but Southern California and Central California, we have seen it time and again. We saw it last year here with Fullerton. Mark, a 2-goal lead is simply not enough when you're playing a SoCal or Central opponent.
No, it isn't. And once again, it's really getting to know who these teams are. I think it takes a first half, unless you've got a lot of tape on somebody, which they could from Futbol Fridays. But I think it takes you a long time to get used to what they do. And for most of these football teams, they know in the first half how the other team plays. And this is where this game comes down to adjustments. If you adjust well, you're probably going to score in that second half. If you're a team that can't adjust, you're going to hold on tight and hope you don't get beat 3-0.
Well, from up in the press box, my 2 cents going down into, let's say, seeing what maybe Taft could come out of the locker room with some adjustments they could make. They're clogging lanes of traffic sometimes. They're very ambitious to go after the ball, sometimes so much so that it goes off their foot and they end up giving away what could have been a pickoff, a transfer of possession in the game, and they end up giving it to Fullerton. We saw it on one of the last 2 or 3 attacking drives that somebody took a big stretch out there, tried to get their foot in the way, and it went off their foot and into the feet of a Fullerton player.
Troy Flores, David Suarez, both set to enter. And you talk about that, Joe. Those halftime adjustments, Mark, I'll also bring you in on this. Some people will look at it and say, yeah, halftime adjustments are everything. Some coaches will look at you and say, halftime adjustments, my team should know what they need to improve on. It's all about the coaching style of each and every coach when it comes to things that have to fix.
Yeah, and Ryan, an adjustment is just, hey guys, this is what I taught you to do, and you're not doing it. We hear this in football all the time. Follow the tight end. They don't do it, the tight end scores. If you do what I told you to do, we can beat this team. That's the adjustment. Not that you're actually adjusting anything. You just have to do what I taught you to do.
Ball into the air, goes off the foot of Ponce, and it ends up going in on frame. So technically that does go as a save and a shot for Fullerton College, but it was one that was quite high into the air and finally ends up with Taft. Now we are into additional time here in the first half of play. One thing, if you do watch in person here in Southern California, you'll notice that when the clock runs down, it will stop usually at about 2 minutes or so. And then from there, they will call out the additional time on the field. So very often that doesn't end up getting put on the board. That's the case here at Fullerton College. But we know that we are in additional time with at least 2 additional minutes to play due to the hydration break that both teams took earlier. Here's Yoel. He's looking for Giles. Left-hand side. Doesn't catch up to him. And it will be taken down by Ponce. Ponce on the right-hand side of the pitch. He's going to try and find Acevedo. Acevedo with Vargas. They form a triangle that Mark's talking about and that Joe has mentioned as well. Here's Vargas. He turns to his right. He thinks about a shot. He'll drop it back over towards his right. An opportunity for Ponce down the middle of the frame. And it will be picked up and kept away by Tareen. So Tareen having to be lively in this one as Fullerton gets it right back and they go immediately onto the attack. Cougars, left-hand side. Make it the right as they try and keep this one in. Fullerton does so, and they find Vargas. Vargas has to switch sides. Both teams waiting for the halftime whistle. The official not looking at his watch quite yet. Down the middle, and finally picked up once more. There's the peek at the watch. As this one is delivered, we might get our halftime whistle. As the official taking a look, everyone moves up the park. And Tareen decides, hey, you know what? Let's end the half here if we can with an opportunity to move up the frame. Little floater by Diaz-Dominguez right down the middle of the park goes to Gonzalez. Gonzalez with Emilio. Emilio dropping it down, looking for a teammate. That one gets sent away. And finally dropped back by Ariano of Fullerton. Cougars see this one go out. The whistle goes, and Fullerton will take a 1-0 lead going into the half. First 45 of play is over, and the only goal scored by Cesar Marquez, assisted by Vargas. That was in the 35th minute of this first 45, and Fullerton once again with the lead going into the half. So they had exactly that after the last Futbol Friday matchup, and they will have exactly the same going into this Futbol Friday matchup. Brian Osborne, Joseph Pavlenko, and Mark Pavlovich here on the call for Fullerton College and Futbol Fridays here on Hornet Radio as we are here at the half. Just a couple of moments, Mark and I are going to discuss a few things that we talked to the athletes about during the midweek for both of these two sides. When you look at Fullerton College in the last few years, you know, initially this was going to be Alumni Day, or at least it was going to be a celebration of the alumni here at Fullerton College. We will have that on October 4th for you. We are going to have something special coming up at the halftime for that matchup. We have interviews from former players from the 2018 Conference Championship game, 2019 Conference Championship games, championship teams, and we will also have interviews from the last two Conference Championship teams here at Fullerton College as well. As we bring Mark back into this, Mark, you take a look at both of these two teams, very active in this first half, and it has led to Fullerton College. Yes, they do have the lead, but it doesn't seem as commanding because of heavy pressure by Taft.
Yeah, I really do think both these teams play a very similar style. But again, you know, Joe brought it up during this game about Fullerton running. And you know, Ryan, you've been out here to enough practices. You've talked to Greg enough times. This just seems like a team with endless energy when you watch them play. I mean, even when they're not scoring, you feel like any second somebody's going to pull the string and it's going to be 1-0 Fullerton. Do I think they're the same quality as they were last year? Maybe not offensively, but defensively, I think they are one dynamic team. You were talking with Greg in the office the other day, and Greg said, soccer starts with what? It sounded like we were talking to Brian Crooks. It was defense, 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 defense in his conversation.
That's exactly right, and you mentioned that. And that was one thing that he said was crucial for his entire team is that you'll watch his four and you'll see them move up the park because not only are they active, not only do they have the ability to go out and set what they need to do in terms of reading the field, in terms of seeing how they need to set the tempo, how they need to set the pace of play, and where they need to attack from. But you'll also notice that a lot of his back line are experienced players. Evan Yole had a lot of minutes last year for Fullerton College. He was able to get himself the opportunity to be a captain in this one. He is one of the guys on the back line who is anchoring it for Fullerton College. So not only is this back line very active, they're very experienced as well for the Hornets.
Yeah, and I think the thing when you look at them, was looking at him, oh, okay, is that what you wanted me to do? Huh, okay. I didn't know it was, you know. Oh, sure, go away now. Why everybody's in here. I think the thing which you've got to realize when you look at this Fullerton College team is Greg goes out and doesn't necessarily, and how do I put this politely? He doesn't necessarily recruit maybe the best players from around. I think he wants to recruit the most dedicated players from around. Young men that really love the game of soccer. Young men that understand more about life than the game of soccer. Young men that understand that not every one of us is going to go play pros. There is a education to soccer and to the rest of the world, and this sport may allow me to do something else. It may allow me to learn something else. Greg gets a lot of young people that join his team from a variety of different backgrounds, socially, economically, probably theologically that they come from, and they get to intermingle with each other, and they get to understand each other. And so they can do it through this game, and in doing that, it makes you a better individual. If it makes you a better individual, it makes you a better partner when you're out doing something. If you're a better partner out there doing something, then I'm going to trust you more. And if I trust you more, then no matter what we do in a playing environment, I'm going to trust what you do on the field. If I trust you on the field, I'm probably going to trust you when we get off the field. And if I'm there for you every time on a pass, I'm going to be for you there every time in life. And that's what Greg teaches here when he teaches the game of soccer. Yes, it's a game. It's a game that a lot of people around the world love. They look at it as a game, but it's also a way of life. My partner sitting next to me right now, Corey Nalen, who has gained so many friends because they played the game, and it might have been a weekend game, of basketball. They talked with each other when they played that game. They sat around afterwards and laughed about what happened that day, what happened in their lives. They understood each other better, and they have been lifelong friends not just because of basketball, but basketball was that catalyst that brought them together. Basketball was that mantra that they all understood. Basketball let them know that, hey, if you were 5'2", 6'4", white, black, brown, or yellow, and could make a basket, that's all that mattered. You play as well as I do. And they competed against each other, and they picked on each other, and they laughed at each other, and they said rude things to each other. And at the end of the day, they loved each other more than you could think it was humanly possible. And guys, they loved them because a game brought them together. I think that's what Greg brings here to Fullerton College as a coach. Will that make them the best team? 90% of the time, I'm going to say yeah. Do the most talented always win? No, they don't. The people that are the luckiest, they're going to win some of the time. But the people that care and believe in each other, really believe in each other, really care for when your other friend is down in the dumps, you'll be there for them no matter what. It may cost you an extra nickel, and maybe you don't have that nickel to give, but you do give it that day. That's what Greg teaches, and that's why this Fullerton College soccer team is as good as it is and is one of the best in the state of California. Do I believe other programs have that? Yes. Do I know all the programs in California? No. Can I speak on only the ones that I've been involved in? Yes. And the good coaches, the great coaches, seem to have that same theme. You look at what Greg brings in the program that supports him for children. You know, last time Joe was on the air and talked about this group, emotionally, it moved Joe because of being a dad and knowing that Greg's soccer club was involved in a program that cared about young children that could be homeless, without, and everything else. That's who he is, and that again shows you why they're such a good soccer team. And there is a truth to this. You know, laugh, pick on athletics and everything else, but athletics, the arts, other activities on campus are just as important as that book learning every day. And it works hand in hand. Yes, this game that they're playing tonight, will that make them better men as they get older? You betcha. You betcha. It's going to make them better. Might make their day better, which makes them a better person. Because you know what? This is as good as it's going to get today. And that gets them to tomorrow and the next day. And that next day might just be the right day for them to be in the right place. Yeah, I love athletics. I love the arts. I love education. And a man like Greg takes his players there. That is why this is such a good soccer team. It is the combination of a Joseph Pavlenko dip. You don't know what goes in it. It could be anything, but by the time you get done, it's the best tasting thing in the world, and you go back for seconds, thirds, fourths, and fifth and say, whenever I can have that, I'll be there. And that's the same thing you get when you come to Fullerton College and you're with a coach like Greg. So that's what I think about this soccer team today. I'm lucky that my partners walked away and said, we're going to let the old man ramble and preach, because that's what I do. If you ever get a chance, come to Fullerton College and meet these educators, these mentors, these men or women who care about these young people that are on the field, that go out of their way for them. Don't look at them as just coaches. Don't use that connotation, oh, they're coaches, they make a lot of money. No, they're much, much more. And if you don't know that, then you don't know anything about athletics here on Hornet Radio. So let's get ready, guys, for the second half. I'm going to bring back my two other partners. I'm going back out into the heat, and I'll see you guys in about 30 seconds.
And we want to thank Mark for joining us here at the half as Fullerton College currently leads it 1-0 over top of Taft here on Hornet Radio. Ryan Osborne, Joseph Pavlenko, Mark Pavlovich here on the call as Fullerton College will get set for the second 45 in just a couple of moments.
Thank you. Thanks, Corey.
As we get set for the half here, once again, we want to remind you that coming up here on Fridays, we will be continuing our Futbol Fridays series, though we will not have one next week. Keep in touch with the Fullerton College athletics webpage as they will keep you up to date with all things Fullerton College sports. They will keep you up to date with everything in regards to when game times are as well. So,
and guys, can I interrupt you? Because I know, Joe, I talked about you and the program that Greg support. I didn't know if I should have mentioned the group he supports, but you've done that more than once. So I'm going to take it to the old dad in there and let him talk about Flock and what they stand for. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but I thought I'd go to Joe.
No, it's fine. We've got 2 minutes, so I'm going to let Ryan go talk about Hornet Media, I think, real quick, and then we'll talk about Greg's group, Flock.
So you take a look at Hornet Media. Don't forget, if you don't know what Hornet Media is, it is the multimedia group at Fullerton College. Hornet Media, journalism, radio, multimedia aspect of things. We at Fullerton College want the opportunity to give you a chance, if you're a student looking to get into the multimedia aspect, if you're looking to get into journalism, if you're looking to get into live production, this is how you do so. Hornet Media gives you that chance. They've got the Hornet, which is a long-running, since 1922 student newspaper that continually wins awards, goes out to the national level, and wins certificates and awards and scholarships as well. Then you have the student magazine, which is Inside Fullerton. They go out and do exactly the same. They have won national awards over places like UCLA and Harvard. And then you also go to Hornet Radio as well, which gives students the opportunity to learn the radio industry, to learn how to use live production to their advantage, and go out and have the chance to learn and get into the pathway of their dreams.
And then, like Mark said, I'm going to come over here as a father. Yes, this did hit a nerve with me, not a bad one, an emotional one, because, like I said, I've become quite a sad sack since I'm a father, a very emotional fellow, some would say. And Flock is a group in Orange County that's for any child growing up. We know it provides challenges. Sometimes it's, where's your next meal coming from? Sometimes it's, where are you living? So Flock is out here trying to help families in need. There's about 30,000 homeless children in Orange County who either live in a motel shelter or doubled or tripled up with other families. When Flock's founder, Angela Joe, heard this statistic, she knew she had to do something, and that is when Flock was born. Fullerton's love of Orange County kids, or otherwise known as Flock, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to end the cycle of child homelessness in Orange County. For more info on that group, you can check them out at flock.gives or scan the QR code on the broadcast, as we are looking like we are getting ready for action to resume on the field.
And going back to that, Joe, just for a quick moment to keep on that, Joe, you mentioned it last week. It brings up that emotion. It brings up, you know, as a father yourself, you get to kind of experience that, hey, what would it be like if my family members had to go through this? What would it be like if a person I knew, a family friend of mine, had to go through this? How would I want people to go out and help them? How would I want them to go out and support them? This is your chance to be able to go out and see exactly how you can do that for other people. So, as we are back here for the second half of play, Fullerton College will be switching things up, going from right to left this time. And then on the other side, Taft will be going from left to right. If you are just tuning in, Fullerton College is in the home navy blue uniforms with white numerals and white crest, outlines on the crest in gold, but no outlines on the numerals. On the other side for Taft, they're in the all gold, close to yellow, close to gold, kind of halfway in between. They are going from left to right. They also have green, we'll call it teal, if you will, or an aqua type numerals and outlining to their uniforms. The goalie kit for the Taft Cougars tonight is one that, if you are a Southern California MLS fan, will remind you of a certain pro team in Southern California, specifically from Carson or Los Angeles, in the early days of the LA Galaxy. It is quite the teal and gold uniform as Taft takes it away, and they will move out the park. And earlier, Mark, actually, just before we were getting into our halftime talk and before, you went into
my diatribe?
Well, I was going to say not just diatribe, but you went into your opportunity to show what flock means to you as well. But you were talking about Misael Gonzalez and what he did last year for Fullerton College. Very quickly, do want to give a shout out to both Misael Gonzalez and Angel Sevillano as they got their first action in their division of play in the NCAA. Misael Gonzalez actually in the most recent matchup for UCI got his first goal of the season. So he gets his first NCAA goal, and Angel Sevillano gets a cap for San Francisco State as well. So both those two guys, we talk about those All-Americans all the time, but it's good to see Fullerton College athletes and former athletes moving on and getting to go to that next level. Ball goes out, toss in here for Taft, and it will be over towards our left.
So if Taft's colors are a cross between old and yellow, is that like old yellow?
Gold and yellow.
Oh.
Gold and yellow.
Okay. I was trying to get the pro team look from Ryan. Were you saying it's Fullerton's current blue and whites?
No. I was going to the old LA Galaxy.
No,
okay.
the kit for the goalkeeper on Taft.
Oh, okay.
Very akin to the old LA Galaxy. We'll call it the 2004 kit that they had just before switching to that more Herbalife David Beckham look.
The blue and whites. That's why
Yeah.
I thought you were making with the Fullerton. Yeah, they're going back to kind of hints of blue and some of those old original kind of funky kit colors in some of their newer stuff. Or at least from what I've seen.
Ball near side, kicked away, finally goes towards Cisco Torres. No, you're absolutely right, Joe. They actually just launched a throwback style initiative in that league. And that's one thing, too, is that with the advent of MLS, the USL, you start to see, and Mark, you can also attest to this more so, but you start to see really what people have been saying for quite a long time in that soccer, football is the fastest growing sport in America. And us being Southern Californians, we're used to seeing football. We're used to seeing soccer. But you don't realize it until you start to see the effects of MLS, USL, and all the AYSOs out there, the club teams out there. You start to really see the impact as of late, where it just feels like it is a giant boom, not just in Southern California, but across the United States.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you there, Ryan. I think it is the fastest growing. I know you and I have argued this for years with Corey Nalen, that it's a much more popular sport than he has ever given credit to it. And, just because he's gone, I'd say that too if he was here. I've been involved in this sport since my son was 7. That was 30 years ago. So, and I know, Joe, you've played soccer through the years. I don't know when you started, and Ryan, you've been involved with it.
I have, and I played when I was younger as well, and that's the thing, too, is that growing up, I may not have been a soccer person, but you get the opportunity to learn how to play soccer with those youth leagues, with those recreational leagues, those city leagues as well, and it gives the chance for someone who may not be traditionally a soccer fan, as this is a ball that goes off sides or out of position on that far side for Taft, and instead they will say that the ball goes out of play first for a throw-in before the offsides takes place. But for non-traditional soccer fans, non-traditional football fans, you get chances to go out and play. You get chances to go out and play a sport that maybe you didn't initially have interest in or your family didn't kind of raise you up in, but you get exposure to it. You learn about it. You learn that there are teams out here. You learn that there are programs like Fullerton and like Taft that can give you a chance to play in your secondary career at a higher education level as well. And it's just continuing to get that trickling effect that has turned into a full-blown movement where people are going out and playing soccer or football. Maybe they weren't initially interested in it in a legacy experience, but it is an opportunity for them to start to get into it going forward.
And speaking of legacies, big news in women's soccer yesterday. Alex Morgan, Mark, if you didn't know, she announced her retirement.
I didn't know that. No, thank you, Joe.
Alex Morgan, a local product from not near Fullerton per se, but up to 57.
Yeah, played for San Diego Waves. If you follow the
NWSL.
There we go. Thank you. It's an alphabet soup. It didn't come to me that quick.
But, I mean, that's also going back to the conversation, Mark. The NWSL is, you know, the National Women's Soccer League. And you look at things 30 years ago, right, Mark?
Mm-hmm.
Where you were talking about you started in soccer 30 years ago when your son was 7. The chances for a women's pro league or for multiple men's leagues to start up just wasn't there at the time. You had the one league. You either had MLS or even before that, you had the International Soccer League or the American Soccer League as well. But now you get the chance to where you see NWSL teams, whether it be Angel City FC, whether it be the Portland Thorns, the San Diego Wave as well. You see these expansion franchises get huge crowds because of how popular this sport is. And like you said, Mark, you and I have talked about it for years. Foul in the middle of the park allows Fullerton College to get the ball here for a moment. Injury brings the athletic training staff. A couple of heads collide inside the box, and it forces everyone to stop for just a moment. Once we see who that is, we will give you word and an update as well. As on the initial, looks like it could be Cisco Torres, who will walk to the sideline for the Hornets.
And, of course, we're very fortunate here at Fullerton to have the best athletic trainer program here. And some of, Ryan, there's no doubt about it, would we say the best trainers in California with Lorena and Juan? When you think about them running the program, they truly care about their student athletes.
And we also want to include Sandra into that as well. All three of them have allowed for these student athletes to play at the best of their ability. And you and I have talked to the student athletes multiple times. When we talk to them, we don't just hear, oh yeah, you know, the athletic trainers are there, they help. We hear about how involved these athletic trainers are and this athletic training staff is in making sure that the athletes aren't just fit on the field, but also establishing regimens on what they're able to do with nutrition, what they're able to do to hydrate themselves. In these conditions, like with how hot it is this week, how can they keep themselves at top fitness? And they help them going forward with their education, what they can do while they are getting their education to keep them fit.
Well, you and Joe can attest to this. We ended up getting emails and text from the athletic staff to let the three broadcasters know, hey, guys, it's too hot to do a game. You know, and that just lets you know how much they care about the student athletes.
Ball goes out far side. It ends up going to the table for Fullerton will be Giovanni Sanchez. So it wasn't Cisco Torres. It was, in fact, Giovanni Sanchez. As this ball gets away from 2, this is Cisco Torres picking it up, having to get away from an attacker in Patrician. And Patrician is able to chase for just a moment.
And, you know, Ryan, just to quickly go back with you talking about all these different soccer leagues, there was a time you could go to a soccer game, there might be 3 of you there. Now there's times where you try to get tickets to a soccer game,
and
you
tough.
Can't get them.
I mean, just going to, let's just say, Mark, you go to Orange County Soccer Club, right?
Yep.
Down in Fullerton. Initially, that starts out, you get crowds of maybe 15, maybe 20, and then all of a sudden, now you look 10 years down the road, and there are times where those local teams are filling up stadiums of 1,000 to 2,000, 3,000 to 4,000. You look here tonight, we have a good crowd on hand on this side of the field. We have a nice size crowd on the other side of the field as well that travels. It's like you said, Mark, if you switch it back 15 years ago, you're looking at things going, I'm going to be here with maybe 5 or 6 other people. Now you've got stadiums that are filling of 4, 5, 6, up to 10,000 people for not just the top leagues, but for the smaller leagues as well.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, Joe, you took a trip down to San Diego to watch the women play, didn't you?
Yeah, I went down a month ago or so and saw the San Diego Waves playing.
This is a foul that goes against Fullerton College, and it will be a set piece coming up for Taft.
Which was a treat because I got to see Alex Morgan play.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was a time there, too, Ryan, you wouldn't have gotten down and seen anybody get it known.
At Snapdragon Stadium.
That's true. That brand new stadium down in San Diego. And if you're brand new to Futbol Fridays or you're new to Fullerton College football overall, our broadcasts are a little different. Very simple. We like to talk about different themes on the air. Ryan Osborne, Joseph Pavlenko, Mark Pavlovich here on the air with you as this one goes over towards the right. Picked up by the Cougars. Here's Diaz Dominguez. He's going to take a shot that goes in on Martinez, and Martinez will make the save. He'll pick it up and let everyone move up the park. But we like to have a theme going about things, and tonight's theme in this one is community soccer development and boom in the United States, along with just overall caring about not just for the student athlete, but also the immediate community surrounding, how it affects things when you have a student athlete, when you have a developing soccer program, when you have multiple soccer teams like you have in Taft and Fullerton who compete at the playoff level, who compete in their own conferences and continually win conference championships. This is our theme for the night. That's how we do Futbol Fridays. We want to make sure that everyone is not just well-versed in what's going on the field, but as we have talked to Greg Aviles and as we have talked to Kenny Castellanos, one of the big things that they have always mentioned to us is this was over towards the left side. Ariola has to bring it all the way back. He gives it over to Martinez. It's floated away. But one thing that he has always mentioned is that the on-the-field stuff will take place. Wins will happen. Losses will happen. Of course, you always want to have a successful program on the pitch. Go out, win conference championships, get yourself to a championship game, get a state title as well. You want that. You want those numbers and those successes. But you'll always hear from them that a program isn't just what's on the field. A program is the educational side. A program is the family side. A program is the work side. It's how these players came up, growing up in Southern California playing soccer. It's how these players were exposed to soccer in the first place, how they learned it. That is where that theme comes from. So that's what we like to bring to the fans on Futbol Fridays. Yes, you have the matchup that's going on the pitch. We'll keep you updated with that, but you will always hear about different themes across Futbol Friday and the community. Let's go. Fullerton is the call from the fans directly beneath us, and it will be a Fullerton foul on the park across from us. And Joe, just a few moments ago, you were showing me there are some out-of-town scoreboards or score changes across Southern California that are near to Fullerton.
Yeah, this is normally your shtick on the broadcast, but I just kind of brought it up less to see what the score lines on some of these matches were and more seeing that, you know, Santa Ana and Chaffee had a game today. Santa Ana won 2-1, but the game and location of the match changed, and they changed the start time because the heat today. IVC and Southwestern, IVC took that today, 2-1. Santiago Canyon versus San Diego Mesa. Santiago Canyon walks away with a 2-0 win. Clean sheet for them. Orange Coast and San Diego City knotted up at 3. And then we had Golden West and Cuyamaca. The game was postponed, which almost could have happened to the game tonight. And it was postponed due to the excessive heat advisory. It will be rescheduled eventually. And games ongoing, we have Long Beach up 2-1 at Cypress. And the game was switched to Long Beach probably because of the heat as well.
So ball goes out on the far side. So some interconference rivals playing tonight or playing in the spots that they're not used to tonight for Fullerton College. But here on the pitch, it's 1-0 Fullerton. 1-0 Fullerton College. They get on the board in the 35th minute of the first half as Cesar Marquez, with a screamer to the right side of the box, allows for Fullerton to take the lead. Kyle Sherman forces a turnover here. He's trying to move up with Vargas. He's trying to beat a guy over to our left. That's Ari Chung. Chung trying to catch up to it in time, and Fullerton College will see that one go out. So a throw-in coming up for the Hornets, and into the attacking third, Fullerton will have their chance. Sherman talking to the coaching staff for Fullerton on the near side of the park. They watch on. Greg Aviles walking things over towards the Swarm City sign. Kenny Castellanos there as well. Tossed up into the air. Near side post. Here's a shot that goes up high. So the header is there for the Hornets, and they had their opportunity. It looked like it may have been Cisco Torres that just gets a piece of it. Got it square, but guys, that's just over top. Little too much on that one as he pops it up.
It was a great attempt to be made after it feels like Taft had the ball over in Fullerton's side for quite a minute. Tried to make some things happen. Fullerton's defense held them off, though, and then Fullerton knocks on the door once again.
Ball goes out, so actually they're going to call a foul on Fullerton prior to the ball going out. So free kick coming up for Taft. They decide that they're going to play it quick, and they will keep the offense running.
You say that like they haven't decided to play it quick all night long.
You know what? It has been quite a fast game. You haven't had a lot of stoppages in this one. Only stoppage that we have actually truly had was the hydration break. Other than that, both these two teams have been quite content to run up and down the frame. Marquez off his right knee. It deflects away, and it will be a throw-in far side. Near side of the park, Ari Chung watching on. He's also got Jonathan Gonzalez along with him, in addition to Andrew Cotto. Cotto will watch on as Fullerton gets another foul here. And now here's a chance for Taft, just about, we'll say, 15 yards off the center of the frame, off to the left. So far side of the park if you're watching online. They can either approach it, play it fast, and they decide to do exactly that. Off the left foot, here's a shot that ends up kind of dribbling on goal. And Mark, it looked like initially that was setting up to kind of be a cannon there by Lisandro Ceja.
Yeah, and he got an alley that was completely open, which I was a little surprised, right down the middle of the field. Nice little left foot shot on target. And again, difference in the game, a goalie that controls everything that comes to him. Nothing in a deflection, even though the one goal that was scored today, no matter what a goalie did, they weren't going to stop it.
Yeah, like you said earlier, it's not just stopping the ball. It's about stopping it, controlling it, and if that involves flopping on it to keep it under control, that's what you have to do.
Approaching the ball here for Fullerton is Max Ron. He scored the last goal for Fullerton prior to this matchup. Little high floater that is picked up and finally taken over by Tareen. So Tareen will command things, and he will roll it to his left. Taft trying to get themselves back on the board. 25-25 left in this one. That is before additional time is added on. That will be a handball going against Taft, far side of the park. Fullerton College's bench got up all at the same time trying to protest, but the officials say, hey, we also saw that. Don't worry about it, guys. And they will place it down far side.
Let the officials cook, guys.
You know what? The officials have done a great job tonight because really they have not been a focal point in this game.
No, I also think both teams today are playing a slightly cleaner game than maybe we saw on our special Tuesday edition of Futbol Friday. I was going to say Fullerton doesn't want to become their own worst enemies tonight, Mark. We did see them commit a couple of fouls back-to-back, and that's something you don't want to do. You are up 1-0. Fullerton's on their way to a clean sheet victory potentially, but you don't want to be your own worst enemy and let the other team have an easy shot at goal through whether it's a direct kick, indirect kick, set piece, whatever you want to call it. You don't want to give them that opportunity when you're only up 1-0.
So Kyle Sherman will take a seat. Thomas Gomez is going to enter for Fullerton College, and he's also going to be joined by David Suarez. So Suarez on the near side, he's going to join that back line for the moment being, as Martinez will pick it up for the Hornets. High into the air. Chung is going to watch it as it gets away from 2. Now Suarez gets up into the attack. Looking for it, wanted to drop it back for a second. Ron is going to pick it up, make that Cisco Torres, but it doesn't matter as David Suarez was fouled from behind. Under 23.5 to play in this one. Fullerton College looking to get their record to 4-2. Taft trying to go to 2-1.
Fullerton goes to 4-2. What would they put them on? What would they? Whoa. What? What would that put them on the road to 100, Ryan?
That would be 95. Here's a chance. Opportunity. The header is there. Collision inside the box. Fullerton has a person down. They haven't whistled it yet. There it is. As the athletic training staff is going to go and take a look at the Fullerton Hornet there. As we had a change in goal recently for Taft. Brian Tufino is in goal for the Taft Cougars from here on out.
So while the trainers are on the field, Ryan, do you mind if I talk about Futbol Fridays?
Please do.
On the Athletics, the Fullerton College Athletics YouTube page, presented by, could we say presented by Hornet Media?
Fine with me.
Team over at Hornet Radio, part of Hornet Media, which Ryan talked about earlier, includes the magazine, the newspaper. We're a media conglomerate, Mark?
Good. Yeah, that's a good way to call us.
And an opportunity for any young people here at Fullerton College, if they're interested in broadcasting, whether it's radio or video or news or magazine writing. The action started, and I felt like I need to get out of the way, Ryan.
No, you're more than welcome because, like you mentioned, Joe, and we always talk to students at Fullerton College when they get their orientations done or they get their opening tours of the campus. We get the opportunity to talk to different students who maybe are looking at college for the first time. They're not really sure what they want to do, but all of a sudden a student looks at a camera or they see the audio equipment or they see a student newspaper and they say, hey, you know what? Maybe it's not quite what I'm looking for at the moment since I've got a bunch of classes going for me, but I want to see what the interest level could be. Can I take a class on that in the future? Can I take a class on that maybe next semester? And all of a sudden you see people who just are interested in a piece of equipment that you may hear about on Hornet Media, and all of a sudden it turns into a passion.
Right. They come up to us and they want to try it on, see how it fits.
No, and that's the thing, too, is that when we give them the opportunity to put on the headsets or whether it's using our brand new cameras that we have as well, Hornet Media gives you that chance to be very hands-on about things. You get the chance to go out, report on the things that are, we'll say, relevant to Fullerton College, to the community, and how it affects a Fullerton College student. You get the chance to do different articles for the magazine. You get the opportunity to do live events with Hornet Radio. Lots of hands-on experience if that is what you are looking for. So once again, Hornet Media, like Joe mentioned, bringing you this opportunity to have Futbol Fridays on the air. Left-hand side of the park goes all the way down, and it will go out. And Fullerton will end up seeing an offsides against Taft. So either way, they were going to get the ball.
Really nice turnout tonight, guys. Just look down the way at the crowd.
As the season goes on, like you saw last year, Mark, and you talked about it on the air during the playoff game, when it came to the games as they move forward in the schedule, you start to see not just nice crowds, massive crowds here watching these games.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got nothing to do, come on out on a Friday and watch a very talented group of student athletes. The men are really a lot of fun to watch. Community colleges around the area. Joe mentioned a lot playing tonight. If you're in any of those areas, go see a game. you're going to see some of the best athletes in the world for a nickel or so. So, you know what? We got nothing better to do? Don't watch TV. Come out and watch a little community college sports.
Did Mark just say go touch grass?
That is exactly what he said. Here's a chance for Taft. They're trying to get it inside the box. Gets taken away by Yole. He's going to spin it over with his left foot and bring it away on the clearance. Taft trying to move forward. They've got Jorge Castaneda, and Castaneda sees that one taken away from him. Fullerton, latest substitution, bringing in David Garcia, and he tries to apply pressure. It will be a Cougar throw-in. And Taft, with about 18 and a half left on the clock in regulation time, still trying to get themselves on the board and even things up. Coming into the 73rd minute in a few moments. Math, geometry, addition, subtraction, all here on Hornet Radio.
We're educators. You guys are instructional aides, right?
We're a studious bunch, let's say that.
Oh, okay, all right.
Astute.
Ryan, you know, you've been with this program for so many years. I want to know where Greg gets all these goalies. That's what I want to know.
You know what's interesting is last year, you talked to me about this a week ago or so, is that last year we saw Ryan Marino Rojas in the first, 3-4-ish matches?
Yep.
Then all of a sudden, it's not that he lost his job, but the sophomores for Fullerton were playing so well and reading defenses or reading offenses so well that they earned themselves their playing time. Ryan Marino Rojas maybe played 2 or 3 more times throughout the rest of the year last year. All of a sudden this year, he gets his chance to come in and say, hey, you know what? I want a starting position. I want to be able to be out there for this squad. He gets the majority of minutes, but as Fullerton has continually shown, they have more than just one keeper. Steven Martinez has come in and played pretty well. He's got 3 saves on the night. He's also directed traffic for Fullerton College. And, Mark, you look at things, this is a squad for Greg Aviles that continually says, hey, you know what? A goalkeeper needs to be able to learn by experience, and they won't get experience sitting on the bench and watching games. If they can get the opportunity to play, they will get the opportunity to play.
Yeah, they're impressive. I just, you know, what Greg does with this program, he just does not get enough praise.
Ball deflects off of 2. Takes a funny hop, but does land with the Hornets. Goes all the way back to Martinez, who calls for it, and he'll send it off to the right. Fullerton trying to slow things down. Mark, you see the slow in tempo over the last, we'll say 20 minutes of play or so from Fullerton College. They're not as content to run it up the field as they were in that first half.
No, but you know what? I think they're matching the offensive prowess that Taft has. Whatever Taft does, we can do it also. And they're doing just enough to keep Taft on the defensive end.
Well, you kind of have to, since they're kind of keeping step with one another, is Taft slowing down too, or is Fullerton's slower pace of pace, are they making Taft play at their pace?
Good question, Joe. It really is.
No, I think you're right on there, Joe. You're starting to see Fullerton say, hey, you know what? We've got our goal. We're going to say that you can't run it up the field against us. You can't enforce your high press because we're going to slow things down on you. We're going to change how the first early going of this matchup was. So you don't get the chance, if you're the Cougars, to have that high press like you were talking about earlier in this matchup, where they were forcing decisions, they were forcing turnovers because they are having to adjust to the game slowing down.
Well, and guys, realize one thing too. How many corners have we seen in this game?
It felt like a lot in the first half, and it's been substantially less in the second.
So far, it is 4 for Fullerton. No, excuse me, 3 for Fullerton, 2 for Taft, by my count. So that is the unofficial stats, which are the official stats.
From the broadcast booth.
Correct. Foul against Fullerton, and Taft will get possession here as Ari Chung gets taken down, and he will walk up the park along with the rest of his Cougar teammates. But to answer your question, Mark, I believe it should be 6 corners in total.
Wow.
I like how, as we were talking about Taft's play of slowing a couple moments ago, we saw Taft make a good little push up the field, giving them this kick. Looks like Fullerton has it under control.
Booted away. Just a moment. Deflects off of 2. Chung is there to retake over. He tries to get it over to his teammate in Carbajal, and Carbajal will see that slid away from 2. Chung heavily active. Finds Carbajal once more. Goes over towards this left side to Vargas. Off of 2, Yole has to adjust in the air. And finally booted away towards midfield.
13 and change left on the clock.
2 passes away. Fullerton on the attack, and that one just gets past 2. Off the back heel of it looked like Thomas Gomez, and it will pop down.
This is some Corey Nayland get-to-itiveness on the field right now being felt by both teams.
Jair Vargas, left-hand side. Working against Chung. Chung is there. And you were talking about a box-to-box athlete the last couple of weeks here, Joe. Ari Chung has been exactly that since checking in a few moments ago, especially after the half. He has given his team the chance with how active he is from his own box all the way down to the other side, forcing the issue whenever someone else has the ball on his side of the park.
Is that a substitution on the Fullerton side?
It is indeed. As Nathan Giles checks in, he's going to throw it in, and that one gets away from 2 and pops all the way down. So Fullerton does get Nathan Giles in for the last few minutes here. And by few, we mean just about 13 left, as this one is inside the box. Fullerton has it once more. Opportunity for a shot is there. It goes off of Suarez, and it's blocked. Taft trying to get the counter working. Fullerton checks it all the way back to Martinez, who's well out of his box, about 20 yards or so, and he'll bring it over to Areola. So the shape for Fullerton right now, little out of shape, little wonky here on the left-hand side as the center backs for Fullerton are switched over towards the left, but they will all get a chance to recoup, and the back line for Fullerton will get back in what was their initial shape that we've seen them here tonight. 11-12 on the clock as it's counting down. So entering the 79th minute here. Drop down. Cougars looking for a chance. Goes off the left foot of Thomas Martinez. Ari Chung. Lots of contact from Sherman in behind, and it will be another free kick for Taft.
I don't know. I feel like I saw the Taft player throwing his shoulder in there and the Fullerton College player just kind of reacting to not get thrown to the field.
What he does end up finding there, and that's Sherman who ends up being the Fullerton players, this is floated up. Carbajal into the air. Can't get that one over to someone. Make that Thomas Martinez. Ari Chung with it once more. Foul against Taft. But going back to that, what he ends up suffering from in that case is the fact that he is behind Chung. So even if Chung does throw a shoulder, getting possession, he does have the inside position on things, which allows for him to get the benefit of that call.
Like almost like pass interference in gridiron football.
You are correct. Making sure you have the position, or if you're a basketball fan, boxing someone out, making sure they don't go over the back. Fullerton trying to move up, looking for Sherman. Sherman on a full sprint, going against Chung, trying to get up to it. It's a corner kick for Fullerton.
Now, Fullerton on these corner conversions or set pieces doesn't seem to be one of their strong suits.
Now, Greg explained that. I mean, Greg really talked about the fact that most of the players who kick a corner kick can't be consistent with bringing it in at a height, a level, a speed, and most young players don't want to go down in the box and mix it up.
I feel like it's something that's just kind of seen in most of American football, that MLS, I don't know the alphabet soup, Brian. The women's national.
NWSL?
Yeah, even the NWSL. I don't see a lot of corner conversions. I wonder if that's just an American footballer kind of mentality.
That was brought up by Greg. Like he said, Europeans, if we could get them, they'll go up and go head-to-head with anybody.
.8:30 on the clock. 1-0, Fullerton College with the advantage. They're trying to hold on here. Taft trying to get back into this one. All gold Taft looking for an opportunity to get past this Fullerton College back line, which has been extremely active. Fullerton scored in the 35th minute to give them the lead, and they haven't looked back so far. Here's a shot that's going to go to the left side. Almost surprises the goalkeeper in Tufino, but Tufino is able to find it and is there to make the save.
So if you're Fullerton, you managed to put another one in the back of the net as we're counting up to 90 minutes. What does that do to Taft?
Puts him on the bus early.
If you're a Taft player mentally, does that light an extra fire in you? Or do you just look at the clock and go, 5 minutes left, what are we going to do?
No, I think when you're coached the way that the other side, Taft side, is, and Mark, you got a chance to talk to their head coach in Angelo Cutrona. When you're coached as well as he has coached that program, you don't really get that sense of panic per se. You just have to keep up with what the what the scheme for the afternoon is.
Yeah, I think he teaches them, and again, another person that uses the game of soccer to teach about the young men the game of life.
Well, and Mark, with what you were saying with RPI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you put up just one, 2-1 versus 2-0, that affects standings and RPI differently, right?
It does, yeah. It's a whole mathematics, and depending on, there's two forms of RPI, we'll look at who played who before they played us, what was the score margin, do we deduct something from it, are they not as threatful as they have been in the past? These two teams, no matter who wins, both these teams' RPIs are going to go up because of where they're going to be ranked in the state of California.
So substitutions in, the one for Fullerton coming in, Giovanni Sanchez. Sanchez will try and help things here on the left side for Fullerton as this one is popped into the air. Max Ron trying to get to it. Cesar Marquez with it now. Looking over to his left, immediately over to Giovanni, and he finds someone. Ball goes out. Under 5.5 to play in this one.
So less than 5 to play. We are still pre-conference play, Ryan?
We are. So this would still be considered pre-conference. Some people call it preseason. I don't love that term because then it gives the air or connotation of an exhibition matchup. It is not. As you guys have mentioned, it affects your RPI. It lets you know how you stack up against other playoff teams. Excellent play there by Ponce as he's going to bring it up for Fullerton. Tries to find a teammate, can't do so and can't get the connection. Vargas on the pressure and Taft is on the break. They've got an odd man rush if they can hurry. It's now a 2-on-3. Continuing, getting tugged from behind. That's a penalty coming up. Fullerton is going to concede a penalty here and a yellow card going to the opposite side as Cesar Marquez with the tug from behind inside the box. And here is a chance for Taft to get themselves equal.
You know, I think he'd have been fine, but guys, if you watch that play, and I know we don't have a close-up on it, but if you were to watch it, he took a hand and put it on the hip. And I think when the referee saw the hand on the hip and the player went down, that's why he called the penalty.
That's what I was talking about earlier. It's the difference in making those fouls like you need to sometimes, like Ryan has said, and then being your own worst enemy.
So I saw 2 games decided by penalty kicks. I saw Saddleback men win with 35 seconds to go, and Saddleback women had a chance to tie and could not on a great save by Pasadena City College.
Home crowd at Fullerton's coming alive.
Yeah, camera's rocking.
Here's the chance. It is a goal. Taft gets that one in, and immediately the Cougar sideline goes alive as it is put away. The goal by Lisandro Ceja. So Lisandro Ceja gets on the board, and now all of a sudden for Fullerton College, they get that equalizer. And after the yellow card is given to a couple of Fullerton College players, another yellow card is issued. This time it's going to go to Lisandro Ceja. And Ceja, taunting the Fullerton sideline, will continue to get a warning from the official.
I believe that'd be at the 86th minute, Ryan.
Ryan, if you watched him after he scored, he put his finger on his mouth to shush everybody from Fullerton, ran down the field. The official yelled at him once, and I think it was just sort of like, okay, enough's enough.
Ball dropped down. Fullerton watching Taft take over once more. They're trying to get one more on the board before we go into a quick additional time. There was no hydration break in the second half, so with 30 seconds left until the clock officially stops on the scoreboard, but 2.5 left in the 90 of regulation.
I'm going to guess at 2 minutes of stoppage time.
Swung over. Taft with a chance. They've got an opportunity. A shot is there. Martinez makes the save. It goes out, and a corner kick coming up for Taft. So just what we were talking about, guys. Joe, you mentioned it earlier. If you're a Taft team that is currently trailing, do you panic? Do you look at this and say, hey, I don't know what we can do? Or do you keep your composure? Both Mark and I said this is a time that you have a coaching staff on the other side who teaches people how to keep their composure, and they get the goal back and now go right back onto the attack in the final 6 minutes of play.
We've got a Taft player down, so that's why we have a little stoppage right here right now.
So Lisandro Ceja in the 86th minute. This one is tapped over. Opportunity to run into it. Still inside the box. An opportunity down the middle. Gets away from 2. A shot is taken, and that goes off of 2. It goes off of Thomas Martinez specifically and will end up being blocked. So Taft with a golden chance to get themselves a late winner here. Just can't get that past the final 2 defenders of Fullerton College, who step up big time.
What a heck of a play, guys. He takes it in 2 feet, gives it to a partner who weaves like a snake through grass and comes down there and almost bites the goalie at the end.
Back-footed up into the air. Taft still on the attack, trying to get themselves that late winner we're talking about. It's a foot race. Emilio Martinez is going to catch up to it first. He's going to go one-on-one with Yole. He switches to the middle. He's got it inside. He tries to take a shot. Can't get that one. Here's another chance. Martinez dives for it, and he picks it up. The excitement of the last 5 minutes of play continues on. Fullerton gets tugged from behind. That's going to be a set piece for the Hornets. They're trying to hurry. That's going to be a yellow card that is issued to the other side to Taft. We'll see who the player is in just a moment as they are backpedaling away from us.
Well, they're going to get it for a delay, Ryan, because what they did is as soon as you get up there, Fullerton can make a play if they want to. The Taft player proceeded to take the ball and keep it and go up the field a little, and that's why the official called the yellow card.
Yeah.
Angel Ayon is the one who ends up getting the booking.
We're in stoppage time right now, and time is a valuable commodity.
Back floater into the middle. Taken away by Taft. They send it out. It will be a Fullerton College throw-in. By our calculations, we should be in the last minute or so of this matchup between Taft and Fullerton. By our calculations, as in we're saying we presume that there's about 2 minutes of additional time. Tossed into the middle. It's still inside the box. Here's a chance for Yol. He takes a shot that's blocked. This is going to be cleared away. Now Emilio Martinez. He's going to be in a one-on-one situation left-hand side. It's a 3-on-3 for Taft. The Cougars trying to go inside. Taken away by the Hornets. Far side, is it a foul? It is a handball, I believe, takes place. So there's a direct kick opportunity for the Cougars. And if they set this up, again, they get a chance for a late winner here.
Yeah, they do. Again, this is all about not being your worst enemy when you're making those sorts of game-delaying actions, whether it's a foul or what have you. You need to, best you can in that situation, keep it clean.
Taft drugged their defenders down and then realized, okay, maybe we need to keep 2 back just because.
So a set-piece opportunity. Steven Martinez in the goal, trying to direct traffic, making sure that the wall is the way that he likes it. The official will give the signal. Cougars have the opportunity to float this one in. It's up over top. The save is made there by Martinez. A corner kick coming up. So what you will see is Taft will at least get this corner in before the full time is called.
I would not be surprised to see Taft get the corner. If Fullerton gets possession, Fullerton potentially getting one last drive before the whistle's blown.
Goal kick coming up for Fullerton College. They get it up quickly like you were talking about. The corner was there, and now Fullerton takes it the other way. Fullerton's sideline asking for a foul. They don't get it. Giovanni, left-hand side, taken over, slid away. It will be a goal kick coming up on the other side for Tufino. Kenny Castellanos and the Fullerton sideline asking for a foul. They will not get one. The official is going to run up to the sideline, and it looks like he is going to give a booking to Kenny Castellanos. Talks to the Hornet coaching staff. Crowd doesn't like it. They voice their displeasure.
I've now seen this in 3 games with coaches getting yellow cards.
You know, Mark, it seemed like 15 years ago it was a rarity.
Yeah, it was. It was. Now it's quite common.
Areola. Far side of the pitch. Sees that one go off of Taft. It's a Fullerton throw-in. Everyone on the Taft sideline is on their feet trying to see if they can get one in just before the time is called. Chance for the Hornets. They get it away. Here's Giovanni. Giovanni, left side. He's got a teammate with him. He's got to get it over to Sherman quickly. Sherman. Here's a sprint. Left-footed. Deflected once. Goes off the post. It goes off the initial crossbar. Hits the top of the bar for the football frame. And it will pop back out. Everyone thought for just a moment that had gone in. And the excitement continues as Fullerton gets a corner in.
Linesman was there, immediately waved it off as the players looked at each other. So if it hits the top but does not clear the imaginary line or does not touch the bottom line, it's not a goal.
Dufino is going to be talked to here just for a moment as he maintains contact with, I believe that is Thomas Gomez.
Like you were saying, Mark, and especially in this economy.
Down the middle of the frame, Fullerton with the ball for a moment, gets checked away. Here's Kyle Sherman. Sherman away from 2. Here's a chance for Yol. He takes a shot that is saved. Dufino is able to find it in traffic and off balance there for Yol as he's able to get that shot away. Mark, if he had his footing, that gets off a lot quicker.
Oh, yeah, and I think it's one of those ones where you've already talked about the Taft goalie feeling like he was handcuffed. I think it would have surprised him. That's going to be it.
And like you mentioned, Mark, that is it for the full time here. 1-1 draw between Fullerton and Taft. And you look at the entirety of this matchup. Fullerton College seemed like they had control for about 65% of this game. Taft comes in the last 8 minutes of play, not only gets themselves on the board, they had a couple of shots that were right along the goal line. And Mark, you look at these two teams' contrasting styles, and both came away watching this one saying 1-1, not what we wanted, but we got to see what we needed.
Well, I think if you're Fullerton, you say to yourself, it's another game we should have won 1-0. No doubt about it. You get a penalty called. Joe, you know, you can look at it and say, Mark, it wasn't a penalty. If I'm Taft, I'm going to say, oh, man, are you kidding? He tried to take him down. You know, I'm sure Greg might have looked at it and said, I wouldn't have called that, but that's the game of soccer. It's up to that referee who has the power to let you win or I win on a call we might not all agree to.
So the handshakes go across. That does it for our Futbol Friday here tonight. We want to thank everyone for joining us. For Mark Pavlovich, Joseph Pavlenko, Corey Nalen, who was here just for a moment, and our producer here today, Becky. We thank you for joining us here on Futbol Fridays. Until the next one, 1-1, Taft and Fullerton College. It's a draw here on the second edition of Futbol Fridays. You've been watching Futbol Fridays on Hornet Radio.